Hello, Insiders. I am your friendly neighborhood creator liaison, and today I'm talking to Todd Sherman. Todd, what do you do at YouTube?
I am the product lead for YouTube Shorts.
A lot of questions we get from creators around Shorts first involve the Shorts algorithm. Is it the same as the long form algorithm? And when we say things like, don't think algorithm, think audience, does that also apply to Shorts?
It really does. I think that is a sort of durable mental construct way to think about it. The audience is the algorithm. We do different things in short form because it is a different format. For example, on long form, a lot of the times people are choosing which video by tapping on it on their phone or clicking on it on the web. And that choice is something that drives a lot of engagement on long form. On short form, you think that people are swiping through a feed and they're discovering things as they go. And so that's like one important difference. And that leads us to need to measure in different ways. And, at the core of it, we're in long form and in short form, trying to get videos to people that they value. We want them to feel satisfied with it. But there's a lot of things that we do in short form that sort of are different and kind of focused on the fundamentals of short form. For example, how diverse the feed is a little bit different when you have hundreds of videos versus maybe 10 or 20 videos, right?
What counts as a view in Shorts? If I'm just flipping through the feed, is every video I'm flipping through, does that count as a viewed video for me?
It doesn't. And, across the industry at large, I think different platforms count views differently. So some platforms treat a view as the very first frame.
Yeah.
Where like if you were to just flip through a feed, you would just be accruing lots of views.
Basically impressions.
Yeah, they're basically impressions. What we try and do with a view is have it encode for your intent of watching that thing so that creators feel like that view has some meaningful threshold that the person decided to watch it. It doesn't mean it's their favorite video ever. It just meant that they are deliberately watching it. There's a bunch of different logic behind the scenes that goes into this, like whether or not you explicitly took an action to watch it is different than if you found it in a feed, and how much time you spend on it. All that goes into whether or not the sort of view threshold is met. We don't publish it because every time we look at a new surface or there's some new interaction, we may tweak that. We don't want people to try and game it.
And we have a metric in YouTube analytics now where view versus swiped away, which is not the same as click-through rate, but it's a way you can get an idea of how many people are viewing your Shorts.
We've heard from creators like a lot of them will be comparing that metric across lots of their Shorts, and they'll see which ones are sort of like grabbing the audience versus people maybe just deciding to swipe past them. And, whether you're making a 15-second video or a 60-second video, grabbing people in the first few seconds tends to be important.
Is there an ideal length for a short to be? Like if your short is shorter, will people watch more of it and it'll count higher? Or if it's longer, is holding their attention that long impressive to us and then it'll get promoted?
The thing to really think about here is what length do you need to tell your story? Opposed to trying to target an exact length, what we're trying to do as a platform is over time, videos of any length to make sure that they get the audience they deserve.
Is there any thoughts to making Shorts like longer Shorts is an odd word, like the capri pants maybe?
We have talked about it, and where we've ended up is that YouTube already has a bunch of great longer videos. And I think that this is, sometimes people bring up like slippery slopes as if it's a fallacy. I think this is actually a slippery slope because when I've talked to creators, it's like, can I just get 90? And then other people are like, well, 2 minutes would be great. Well, I could do 5 minutes over here. And then eventually we're just kind of recreating all of the greatness that YouTube already has. And so to date, I'd say that we are going to remain focused on 60 and under.
Thumbnail customization. There's sort of two camps on this. There's one camp who's like, I want to control every aspect of the experience that I present to people on YouTube.
Yeah.
And the other camp is, I am making 30 different variations of this thumbnail already, taking me 8 days to get it done. I don't want that to be part of my Shorts pipeline. How do you think about and balance those?
Yeah, I've heard it from a lot of creators. And I think that it's worth thinking about that being in the shelf on Shorts is not really where most of the traffic comes from on Shorts. It's being in the feed, and the shelf on home happens to be an entry point, and thumbnails are seen there, but most thumbnails are never seen because people are in the feed and they're swiping and consuming and enjoying Shorts. So where we've ended up on this is, opposed to opening up to custom thumbnails, allowing you to select the frame from your video on iOS and Android, aligning with the sort of like observation that most thumbnails are not seen. We really don't want creators to kind of overinvest in thumbnails, and that effort is probably better just invested in making another video.
Do hashtags matter on Shorts? Because we've seen this like inconsistently across other platforms that you have to do it. You have to do 30, you have to do 3. Do people want to be on the hashtag pages or have the hashtag in their title?
If the question is like, are they required? No, of course not. Are they meaningful? I think they could be, but it's hard to generalize across like every vertical for every creator. Sometimes a hashtag can be associated with like a real world thing that's happened, and in that way, it's like an event and you want to associate it with it. Other times they're focused on topics. And I think in both those cases, creators should, consider using them.
Does the time of day play any factor?
No, it's not something that we think about optimizing for. I think that for certain things, freshness may be more of a factor. For example, if somebody's focused on news, then the timeliness of that could matter. That's a little less about time of day and more about quickly responding.
What about quantity? We have people who think that they have to post like 10 shorts a day to get any attention.
I think that it's very difficult to be prescriptive here, but there is nothing in our systems. It's like when you hit the 5 video or 10 short threshold per day that you somehow unlock a secret. That's not how it works. If you generated a bunch of relatively lower quality videos and then posted those and, got meager engagement on them, that energy is probably better spent in just making a better video and fewer of them. There's also something to be said about iterating and posting a video and learning from that what worked or what didn't.
Sometimes shorts will take off and they'll get like a few hundred or a few thousand views and then just drop completely. How is that working?
There are parts of the algorithm that try and find creators and audience. And sometimes those algorithms will go and effectively find like a seed audience, find a set of people that may enjoy your video. And depending on how that goes, it may get a lot more traffic or it may kind of taper off. And so sometimes videos I've heard it from creators like, feels like it gets stuck or something like that. I think that those could be some of the drivers there.
I think also for creators, we're used to impressions, click-through rates, and that doesn't exist in a feed. And so those views feel to me like more like impression than traditional views. If it does increase, then it's competitive, it's working really well, and it's going to keep going. But if it didn't, like it just didn't garner any interest, then it's going to drop off the way impressions.
That's right. I think that especially creators starting out, I think a lot of those early views, they're sort of very like exploratory as we're trying to proactively help you find the audience that enjoys your content.
If a short doesn't take off, should I delete it and then just keep reposting it until it does?
No. No, don't. I would not advise that. I've heard people talk about this as like a growth hack on Twitter or something. I think that there is a risk there that gets seen as spam in our systems. My advice to folks is, hey, if that didn't go how you wanted it to go, learn from it and move forward and try again.
Make a better version. Like take everything you learn from that version, make a better version of it.
Yep.
Is shorts cannibalizing long form?
That's not sort of like not how we think about it, right? We're really trying to be responsive to users' desires.
Yeah.
It's sort of unsurprising that the demand for short form video amongst viewers has really ballooned. And, we follow that viewer demand, right? So if people are interested in watching lots of short form video and maybe it's a testament to this conversation, they are interested in watching lots of short form video, we follow that demand and try and satisfy the user's desire for that content. And to the degree that creators can make lots of great videos of all different types, then that grows, right?
So speaking just for me, there are some things I enjoy watching on shorts more, like that I would love to watch 30 seconds of that. I wouldn't necessarily want to watch 12 minutes of that.
I think that there is a lot of people like that. They're really satisfying, I think, in some ways, different needs.
Yeah. There's so many early YouTube videos that by today's standards are closer to short form video than they are to what we think about as long form video. And long form video now can be like Marquez Brownlee doing 8K video with robots filming it. And that can feel like an intimidating barrier of entry if you're just like, I'm going to do a cold start into YouTube. But shorts can be that meat to zoo, those moments that you were talking about. And that just opens the gates to, like, we have this whole generation of creators that have grown up on YouTube. And now we have this new generation that can grow up using shorts.
Totally. Yeah. And people get started in different ways, right? So I think that short form deliberately has lower barriers so that people can participate more easily. And they might start out at something that's pretty lightweight, that's a moment or a scene, and it's only minutes creating a video that's 10 or 20 seconds long. Other people are going to do that and say, I want to focus on craft here. And they may move over to 1 minute videos. They may cut their teeth on the lighter weight thing, but then decide to move into more of a purposeful craft.
Another question we get quite a lot is parity between the different surfaces. Like right now you can select a frame to use as a thumbnail on mobile, but not on desktop. If you upload on desktop, it's higher resolution than mobile. And it feels like you have to pick and choose.
Usually it's a matter of time. Yeah, usually we try and align our priorities where everything happens at once, but sometimes that doesn't it doesn't work out that way, and so we usually work towards parity. Yeah.
Shorts are often seen like they're really, really good for discovery, for reach, but not very good for community. But we've launched Reply with a short now, which I think starts to bridge that gap into making community really interesting on shorts.
I think it's going to be a great way for creators that make very short videos that want to engage with their audience. Sometimes they may take that comment as creative direction for the next short. Or if you're a long form creator and you want to use this as a tool to engage for the style of community that you've cultivated, that's like another use of it, right? And so I think that it has multiple uses, and you could see how both of those are a little bit different. You know what I mean?
We're seeing whole channels now where people just reply to comment, like
Totally.
Media commentary channels, political commentary channels. Seems like every short is a reply to comment. It just keeps going.
Yeah, exactly.
As you look ahead to the future of shorts, are you thinking about more interactivity? Are you thinking about more feature parity? Are you thinking about, I guess, AI is the giant elephant in every room these days?
There's just so many things that I think are interesting in the pipeline. Lots of things around interactivity. Lots of interesting things that I will give no hints about related to AI. AI is something that that can help creators of many different types and many different use cases make progress toward their goals, right? It's just so excited to be building these products.
Thank you so much for your time, Todd.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much, Insiders, for joining us. If you have any questions, any comments, just leave them down below and keep it real.